Support for Analog Talk comes from the camera culture website casualphotophile.com. With in-depth reviews of interesting cameras and legacy lenses, film news and profiles, industry retrospectives, and a unique editorial perspective. If you're into cameras and photography, this is one of the best blogs around. See more at casualphotophile.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Analog Talk, a film photography podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
I'm Chris.
And today, our guest is Michel Behlen from Pryme magazine. Say what's up, Michael.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Before we get started, I figured we'd talk about instant photography since you're our guest this evening. Can you kind of give everybody a background on yourself and how you got started and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I'll bullet point you guys. I started off as a digital photographer when I was about 17 because a really cool guy was meeting a lot of women taking band photos, and he was super cool. This was before
Nice.
hipsters was a thing. He was like pre-hipster, right? So
Okay, original.
the original. So that's really, I said I wanted to be like, his name is Mike too, so I wanted to be like Mike. And I did that for about 5 years, did some weddings, did a lot of band photography, and it just wasn't fulfilling. It was weird.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in front of the computer. I work in finance during the day, so I was already in front of the computer 40, 50 hours a week. So it wasn't enjoyable anymore. So about the time Impossible Project came out with the Pioneer program, when they introduced their first film, they asked for people to buy it and give them some feedback. So that's what I did. And after shooting, it's kind of a long time ago now, but I think it was about a week or two before after I shot that first pack of film, I sold off my whole Canon set of digital everything.
Man, love it.
Just for instant gratification. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I did that, and what's funny is that the first pack of film that I ever shot was terrible, mostly because of me, but also because it was a new film. Mm-hmm. But it was like the best photos I've ever shot. Like, I guess it has a lot to do with how much tangibility there was behind it. So
right.
Yeah.
So since then, that's been 5-6 years now. I've been shooting instant film pretty exclusively. That's all I shoot. I mean, I've shot some medium format and some other formats, but that's what I stick to. That's what I enjoy. Couple years into shooting instant film, I was submitting my photos to magazines and websites and publications, and I was sitting in my backyard complaining to somebody about how there's no instant film website. What? And he's like, "Why are you complaining? Why don't you just do it yourself?"
Yes.
So at the time, he was my good buddy that I shot weddings with, and we were always shot with Pryme lenses. And at the time, it sounded like Pryme magazine was the way to go. So that's where the name came from.
Oh, cool.
So
I like that.
That night, I went inside. I said, "Hey, hold on real quick." Went inside, went to GoDaddy. Not an endorsement. Not that fun to work with. But so I bought the domain name, and it sat there for 4 or 5 months because as barbecues go, you get a lot of good ideas and you don't always follow through with them. But complained again. He's like, "Hey man, didn't you buy the domain name?"
People do that with the Instagram handles now. Like, make sure they get the Instagram handle.
Yeah. So that's it. And then that's how Pryme magazine was born. I didn't know anything about design, writing, interviewing. I diddled with websites here and there, but I kind of jumped in not knowing anything. I contacted a lot of people that I looked up to during Roid Week, like Bastian Kalos, who's my good friend now, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm trying to make a zine, and it'd be really cool if you would let me use your photos in this thing, and you don't know anything about me, and you don't even know who I am, but I promise it's going to be super cool." And everyone was very, very nice and kind to me, because, at the time, the instant film community was really small and everyone knew each other, and it was really expired film based, and so they were really trusting. So I think we put out our first issue in 2015. I put out 5 issues, and then I got burnt out.
Burnt out again?
Burnt out again, yeah. I guess I get a little obsessive over projects and spend a lot of time doing them, and then 18 months to 2 years later, I go, "Hey, this isn't that much fun anymore."
Yeah, I get that.
You know, and
Yeah, I can totally relate.
so I think everyone goes through that, even if it's with your job, with reading books, going outside,
Right.
whatever the deal is, right? So I took a hiatus, and over that 6, 7, 8 months, I was on the Instant Film Show. Nate Matos invited me on there. And
Former guest, love that guy.
yeah, good guy. And we just kind of talked about it and how everyone said they were kind of bummed. And I said, well, I'm bummed too, because now I have nothing to do. What am I going to obsess over, right? This is kind of a weird catch-22. So I decided that, hey, all right, cool, let's do it again. So in 2017 in August, probably 18 months ago, we released 3 books. Pryme Editions did. And I did a book with Amanda Mason, who I love. We did a compendium with Nate Matos, a combined version of all of his zines he's put out. And then a book with Rudy, and he did a Burning Man book. So that was fun.
cool.
We did an exhibition and a launch party at Book and Job Gallery in San Francisco. It was a lot of fun. Did that. We started getting a lot more books in stock. We were asking people to send them to me so I could ship them out on their behalf and kind of create a hub.
Right.
And over, from that point until about December of 17, I probably interviewed 200 or featured and interviewed 200 people or so. At that time, put out 9 books and zines in that time frame. I think we sold anywhere from 850 to 1,000 copies combined of everything we did, which is super cool, right? Because I didn't know anything about design, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And then the hard part comes when you look at your bank account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, like, talking about money is really taboo, especially with like artists. But when your bank account is being drained because you're doing something you believe in, it's really hard to give it up.
Right.
But it's also really hard not to, because gas is really important to get to work.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys knew. So that's where we stand. At the end of December, I gave Pryme Editions to Ann Silver, and I gave is a really strong word, because I guess we should step back. I produced the annual journal that came out, and that was about 176 pages of instant film.
Wow.
We did a Kickstarter, which is very successful, which is really cool. And we had a lot of support, and that was kind of my sending off party, if you will. And Ann Silver did 80% of the writing. She's an amazing writer. And I was more of the organizational guru, because that's really what my strong suit is. So that was great. So she's really came into it on her own, and she's taken it away on her own. And she's still going strong, doing articles, and she plans to release a zine. So under that name. So I'm excited to see what she does.
That's awesome.
That's
To kind
great.
of like pass the torch.
Yeah. And that was the opposite of bullet points, like I said I was going to give you, but that's okay.
So that's okay though.
Yeah.
It's nuts though, because we were talking about it right before we started recording. I had mentioned hearing you on the Instant Photo Show, and I had no idea that how much you've done past those 5 issues of Pryme, like the original Polaroid issues. I didn't know that you went that far and did Book and Job Gallery. I love Carson Lancaster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like big fan of his work and his gallery, and all that comes around that whole area too. So that's awesome. You just inspired me and
thank you.
Probably everybody listening right now on printing your. We're huge advocates over here for printing your work on the Analog Talk.
Yeah. I what's really cool is that I don't know it. I say this to everybody when they say, like, you inspire me, or I'm just a dude that lives at his dad's house. So if I could do it, everyone can do it. It's just a matter of the dedication. And
Yeah.
and and everyone's like, yeah, I was 100% dedicated. I was about 80%, like a normal human being, right? I mean, stuff comes up. I have a son. He's going to be 9. I have family. You can't let it overtake your life. And I think I'm a good example of what that does. You get burnt out. So just a lesson to be learned.
Yeah, we've been recently talking about what to do when you get burned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if like passing the torch is something that has to be done so you could like find the next thing or like move on to the next project. It sounds like Pryme's in good hands. So that's at least you didn't say it's done. I'm not going to do it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it wasn't my thing. Like my name was attached to it, but it wasn't mine.
Right.
Everybody was involved, and it doesn't, if you're one guy sharing blog posts on Facebook, it doesn't work too well. It takes a family of people dedicated to the medium to really get it going. And if people didn't want to spend their hard-earned money, their gas money, on a book full of people's photography, then it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So, I mean, I think that's the most important thing.
Are you still shooting?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
good.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'm a big outdoors guy. I think I'm not like, I don't know how else to say it, but in 2017 and around January, I was like, you know what? I want to be a man. So I was like, I decided to take up hiking and backpacking and exercise. And when I say man, I really mean like a non-child, right? So, not like masculinity, right? So, so I started doing that and I started shooting a lot. You know, a lot of my premise for shooting in the past was I need to go hiking so I can shoot beautiful stuff.
Right.
And now the primary activity is backpacking and hiking. And if I happen to see something worth capturing, that's a big plus. Because I think we all have those days where I'm going to go out shooting. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to kill it. And then you come home and everything sucks. And
or you
you're
need to take
upset.
one photo.
Yeah. So I feel like switching those two things around was a really good perspective change just for me. And I got to enjoy being outside without the connection to success or failure as it comes to do with my camera.
Yeah, because we put like a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes, you know? Especially when it's like we have these grand things we want to do, like YouTube channel, our next zine, whatever it is. It's not fun anymore, like you said, or like there's too much pressure and it's like, oh, like you're taking photos to take photos and that's not good either. You know what I mean? So it's good that mindset of like, I'm going to go, whatever happens will be.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think those are like the best shots too.
Yeah. I was my very first backpacking trip I took back in March of 2017. I went over to Point Reyes, over in Marin County. And, it was a very liberating experience, mostly because I didn't have cell phone service, which I'm learning to love.
Blessing in disguise.
And it was really nice to sit somewhere for 2 hours and not feel like I get, you know, on the other hand, boredom is a really a first world privilege, right? Where we're upset when we're upset, when we're bored, you know. But it was to accept that boredom was really to be okay with myself. And when I was okay with myself that week, I probably shot the best photos I've taken in 2017. So,
nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So are you exclusive of Polaroid originals or are you dabble in other instant stuff?
Yeah, I'm an elitist. I like the Polaroid originals.
Yeah, because I was checking out your website and I was like, this is awesome. All of this is so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I shot so my in between. Because, you know, I go back and forth. I think everyone has this gear addiction, right? So every 6 months, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go buy a Mint 670 I'm going to get a new SLR 680. But my problem is my eyesight isn't great. And the circular viewfinder makes my pictures come out crooked. And it's not the camera's fault, but it's just a combination of my eyesight or how I hold the camera. But so I moved to a Sun 660, which I've pretty much exclusively used since I started. But in between, I always think I want a better camera that I don't need. So
yeah, I actually have mine. It's a one-step flash that my boyfriend, he just gave this to me he got at Goodwill for $10.
Oh, is that the one with the button on top where you can? Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. These are great. I mean, the flash always goes off, which is kind of a bummer, but it makes for interesting photos because they're like lit up differently, you know?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the instant film's fun. I started shooting Instax a little bit, the wide 210 stuff on like the camera the first wide that came out, and I liked it, but it just, I hate to say it because the pictures are like sharper and more color realistic, but when I'm out doing stuff, in my head, right, I'm living this grand adventure, and I think, which, you know, I'm probably not, but you know, don't tell me that. And so it kind of replicates that dream adventure atmosphere that I'm living, that I can show people like this is how I view my life,
right?
In those 48 hours of weekend time. So,
man, it's so true. Like, I feel the same way about Instax. I have a mini and a wide. I have the 300, and you know, I shoot it occasionally. It's more of a I don't know, like point and shoot kind of thing.
A party event,
like a party camera or a picnic camera or something like that. But when you're trying to get down to the art aspect of it, definitely Polaroid it's got it going on with the unpredictableness of their film. There's so many people that complain about it, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like, just like you said, when you first got the Impossible Project stuff, it was so unpredictable. It was so expensive. And, I have had packs of that film that just the images completely disappeared, like there was nothing there. It was there for a minute and then it was gone in the same, 10 minutes or actually in the same hour of watching it develop and, come to light, and then it would disappear. It was just so unpredictable. And, at that point, I missed the whole boat on the original Impossible Project.
Yeah,
like
I was
all
gonna
the.
say, I found out about the Pioneer project after it was over.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah. I found out about it too late. I'm one of those like Urban Outfitter, like gotta stop at Urban Outfitters every time I'm in the area to pick up, 2 packs of whatever they have and spend $60 on it and hope that I get some images. But still thinking back to when that was, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was it was so much fun. And I love those pictures to this date still more than, the stuff I'm doing now. I'm doing more refined stuff because the film's a lot better, but I miss that unpredictability. Like, is it going to work? It's gone.
Totally.
It was really cool. I loved the beginning stages of that. I know that made a lot of people mad, and a lot of people wouldn't shoot it because it was so expensive.
Yeah.
They didn't even give us 10 shots. They only gave us 8. It is just funny. Like, I miss it. I miss that. I mean, I'm glad Polaroid picked it up and it's the same people. I'm glad they kind of shifted over, have a stronger formula.
Right.
So now people who, wouldn't have gotten into it because it was so unpredictable and so expensive, it's affordable now and
has the recognizable name.
Yeah. And people love it. Anybody that like gets it new and tries it, and they love those photos. And it's a good time for Instant again. Like, I'm finally feeling like not so scared. I'm still scared. There's always the chance that you get the we're closing our doors thing, but I feel like we're at a good spot right now, finally.
Yeah, I think, with all the money they spent on buying that branding, I don't think that they're going to let that investment go anytime soon. I think they have a couple years ahead of them to make that back from a fiscal perspective, I would hope.
Yeah.
But like you said, the old stuff, like the PX70 Cool film was my favorite. And they had the little dots on, like, if you took a picture of blue sky, it kind of looked like, I don't know, you punched it with a cheese grater, but like super softly.
Yeah.
And it was magical. It was really cool.
It was.
So you said you had some new stuff in the works. Can you talk about that a little bit, Michael, or not really
Yeah,
yet?
I can.
Okay.
So, I think...
I just feel bad when I put people on the spot like that.
No, I know. Bring it on. I feel like I'm really honest, and I feel like I'm pretty transparent. And the bottom line for the Pryme and how it went with my life was that it wasn't profitable. And when I mean profitable, I mean being able to pay myself $1 an hour. Like, it just didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've released the numbers to anybody about the Kickstarter and all that, but I'm happy to talk about it. After everything was said and done, so this is not a detailed breakdown, but the cost of including shipping and printing and proofs and writing and like refunds for the post office messing up packages, because I don't want to leave someone out and dry. The cost was $8,959.97.
Wow.
And we brought in $9,996.27. So I netted $136.03. So it's crazy, right? A lot of that had to do with how I priced the shipping and the Kickstarter campaign for international customers, because I think last year or the year before, when I was sending out a lot of stuff, everything was $18 or $17 international. And then when I went to go ship everything out December, January, February, it was $23.50. So just that small change, really not that big of a change, over 200 or so copies, killed it, right? So
that'll do it.
So I basically got paid $1 an hour, almost. It probably took me 120 hours to do everything.
Jeez.
So, and I'm maybe exaggerating by 10%, but that's about it, right? So, but, it was a lot of work, right? And just taking 2 hours every day to email people and follow up, it adds up over time. And I don't think people really realize that, especially when you're submitting work somewhere. And I know I'm going off topic. I'm sorry. But
you're fine.
When you're submitting work to somewhere and you say, here are my pictures. You didn't put a link, no bio, no resume, no nothing. You start from scratch. Then you have to go back and ask them this. It takes 2 weeks. You ask them again for more information. And it's just this round robin of trying to collect information from people. And it's just a lot of work. And and I hate to be that guy, but if everyone treated their submissions to like magazines and galleries like it was their life depended on it and it was their job, and I'm assuming that's what everyone wants it to be in a fulfilling way, not like a corporate umbilical cord kind of way. But I think everyone's work would be picked up faster and quicker because it's hard for someone to justify the extra 6 hours of work it's going to take when someone else is already 110% prepared. So I think if you're prepared, it'll be easier. FYI, guys. Yeah. But so on that note, the instant film, even though that's my passion, it's not everyone's passion in the analog world.
Yep.
So, I'll be starting a project. The website's up, the domain name with a newsletter link, analogforevermagazine.com.
Ooh.
Nice.
So that's the goal. And the name came from me spending a couple hours on GoDaddy, still not an endorsement. I didn't want to move my account. I'm too lazy. And that was like the only combination of awesome words I can come up with. And I also thought,
like it.
Thank you. I also thought that like if a lot of like 18-year-old kids would be like, you're analog AF, and like that'd be funny.
Yes.
So like it's kind of like analog forever AF, and I thought that was kind of funny. And then like we could just have someone dabbing on the front cover, and we'd sell millions of copies. That'd be great.
Yes.
That's gonna be my new thing. I'm analog AF.
So that's what I'm doing. So you guys may be familiar with Michael Kirchhoff. He's an editor for Blur Magazine. He's become a mentor is a strong word, but Yoda's not. And
I like that.
So he's really helped motivate me to do things, and he's been really kind with his time and his advice. And a couple weeks ago, I asked him if he wanted to join me on this Analog Forever project. There's no details besides we want to print twice a year, summer and winter, and that the first issue should be coming winter of 2019. So that's
so
it.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah. So all the details are real slim. We're still in talks and discussing. We probably want to bring a couple more individuals on because, as I've said before, it's a lot of work for one guy. So I learned that lesson already. Yep. And I hate to have to say it, but I feel like some people are going to say, well, you bailed on what you did, and now you're starting this new thing. But in a way, that's exactly what I'm doing. And that sounds bad, right? But it's not, because I spent 4.5 years doing it and no one else was. So I feel really confident with my decision. And if we could sell 100, 150 issues every quarter with Pryme, or through the books that we did runs of 50, I think we could sell 200 or 300 biannually. And it'd be really nice just to not have to pay for the website out of my own bank account, even if that was covered and we made it reasonably priced. And there's other publishers, like I don't know if you guys got the email from Incandescent Zine yesterday or the day before saying that they can't print anymore because their printer broke. So they're doing a GoFundMe. So go fund them, everybody. I don't even know them, but when I searched submit analog photos submissions about 6-7 years ago, they were alive. And they've been doing it longer than I have, or I've even been involved in the community. So, so stuff like that. And they sell their issues for $20, and that's really awesome. And on the flip side, doing the Pryme Journal, which was like super fat. It was really big.
Wow.
And it was, it was just real big, and it looks super impressive, but maybe impressive isn't what we need. Maybe we need something affordable. So
man.
Well, if it was me, right, and I wasn't the guy making the zine, and you said, all right, I'm going to include your photos, I can give you at cost, but at cost is still $30. Well, man, do I want to buy that and keep it on my nightstand, or do I want to go buy more film? So that, that's a hard decision, for everybody. So I think if it was a little bit cheaper, it'd go a lot farther.
Man, I just wish more people would support like that. You know what I mean? That I try to buy zines and photo books when I get the opportunity, if I have the extra money, because I definitely am a film hoarder. So I'm not always worried about, buying film. I have plenty of film. So I try to, I don't know if people, they don't realize it because we've gotten so spoiled with the internet, but you learn so much by looking through printed work, like looking through books and magazines and all that. Like that's why, Chris and I have talked about a handful of times. We used to do a photo challenge on the show, and just kind of like you were saying about your submissions, it just got like unmanageable. We couldn't, figure out what photos we're going with this week because people would just hit upload or share. And, it was just a mess. And so, like you said, I would love to do a yearly or bi-yearly Analog Talk magazine as well, or something like that. Something where we give back to the community. It's definitely on, I wouldn't say the back burner because it's definitely closer to the middle to front burner, but I'm obsessed with that stuff. And just, I just think that you learn so much from other photographers and holding it in your hand and looking at it rather than your 5-inch screen on your phone or your MacBook, whatever, it just looks so much better. Like, I feel like, well, I don't know. I was going to say, I feel like most photographers shoot for that, but they don't. They shoot for Instagram nowadays. Right. Like everybody shoots for Instagram. But I don't know, man. I just, whatever I can do to help you out as well.
Yeah. Same.
We'll do anything to help.
What's really cool is that my first zine I ever bought was a Michel Kennedy zine. He did Passport to Trespass, which was like, I don't know how many.
Ooh, I like that name.
Oh, he was so good. He was like the original. He'd get so offended if I called him a hipster because this was like 20 years ago. But this guy was like, just like punk rock kind of attitude guy. I'm not sure if he was actually punk rock, right? But he used to hop trains and go shoot people and steal film from Walgreens. And not that he's proud or he's, being any which way about that, but I got to interview him in issue 5 of Pryme magazine because he was like my idol, right? And when I was first going through his zines that I bought, the way he sequenced his images was unconventional. And I always looked at it and said, I don't have to be like everybody else, but I want to be like him, which is funny, right?
Yeah.
So, so I think that was a big part of my first zine that I put out in 2013. And when I tell you the name, it's just, I was searching for stillness, right? So 3 words, word in the middle of the 2 main words. I was kind of playing off that because he really did inspire me,
I like that.
And I just have to tell everyone that Arthur Bueno helped me put that together because he was my zine mentor and he's an amazing man and a good friend. So, So in the future, personal work, I've been working on Searching for Stillness 2 for 3 years. Every December, it's supposed to come out. And
I know that
Yeah.
one. I do the same exact thing with the project I've been working on for years.
Yeah, and it never feels complete. And the problem is it's never going to be. And that's the hard realization, I guess. But I keep on saying, one more 30-mile hike, I'll have, because I'm a stupid person. I purposely go backpacking in bad weather for the dramatic clouds. And it's uncomfortable, but way awesomer.
It's worth it.
Yeah, so I do that, and I keep saying one more trip, and I'm kind of coming in a split in my nature life, where up until this next trip that I'm taking in June, which will be my first peak that I'll be climbing Sawtooth Peak, which is more of a pass. It's a class 2, in Kings Canyon National Park, or Mineral King, and I feel like that's a good spot chronologically in my life where that will finish out my adventures into becoming someone who's outdoors. So, and after that, I'll go on crazier trips. But I think starting from like the easiest of the easy backpacking trips to my first difficult one, I think will be a good transition, whether or not the images are sequenced that way. But what's cool is I started on the beach and slowly progressed towards the mountains. So it could be like a skyline to the sea, kind of like the trail name.
Oh man.
So I think that is kind of cool. So we'll see how it goes.
Dude, that is the stuff that amazes me with photography. Like how we can, like chronologically capture our lives through time with this stuff. Even looking back on the last 5 or 6 years since I moved to Tennessee, because when I moved here, I got like, I dove into this photography thing because I was alone. Not that I was alone, but I was, finally on my own away from family and, just like you said, like being an adult, like finally letting go of the child and just seeing the time, even looking back 5 years ago through negatives or prints and stuff like that. It's just, I need my summit. To kind of bookend what's been going on in the last, and I feel like I'm almost there too. Like,
yeah. What about
ready to go down the other side of the hill?
What about you, Chris? Where's your summit?
Ooh, putting me on the spot.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm always trying to work on something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if it helps you guys, I recommend everyone go outside because like it's brag no brag, right? But I'm not even that like fat of a guy, but I lost 35 pounds in about a year. And that was all because I went on a hike and I was like, this sucks, but the pictures were great. And this has to get easier. So I worked at it so it was easier so I could focus on, taking pictures and not dying of an asthma attack up a 40-foot hill. But
that's kind of inspiring that you like got healthy because of photography.
Yeah. And it's those
that's
three
awesome.
things, right? Like being healthy both mentally by getting away from technology, which is a big part of my work, I think. Being healthy so you can do those things, and then also expressing yourself through art, I think is a kind of a really cool trifecta. Yeah. And also learning to be alone was really cool. So I'm late to the game, but I just read Walden for the first time. Have you guys read Walden by Thoreau before?
No. But I know what you mean. It's been recommended to me probably 20 times now.
So, my other passion is journals and notebooks and such. Mm-hmm. So I always take about 10 or 12 quotes from each book that I read, and I try to read. The goal in January is a book a week, and now it's May, and I've read 10 books. So my new goal is a book every other week. So, but
still good, still a good goal.
Yeah, right. And they're called goals, not commitments, for a reason, because you don't have to meet them and you don't feel bad.
I like that.
He says, I find it wholesome to be alone the greater part of the time. Then to be in company, even with the best, is soon wearisome and dissipating. I love to be alone. I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude. And that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And in talking about cameras, I also kind of just took a note because I know we'd be talking about that, but this is about pants, but it applies to cameras, I promise. I say beware of all enterprises that require new clothes and not rather a new wearer of clothes. If there is not a new man, how can the new clothes be made to fit? So, if you're not doing good work with the camera you have, I promise you don't need a new one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know that's like a truth bomb. Boom.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
But yeah, so I think reading too is a really big influence on me, I guess emotionally and mentally. It kind of gets me relaxed and into the, how do you put it? The analog flow. Like I write a lot, I read a lot, I'm outside a lot, I try to get away from my cell phone. But I do play Xbox with my son, so so you have to have some balance too.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, totally.
Plus it's quality time.
Yep.
Man, but I get that though. Like I my girlfriend is the anti-outside, so she's like all about her Nintendo Switch and video gaming. I mean, it's great. It's great to have a girlfriend that like wants to play video games all the time. But when I'm like, hey, let's walk down to the railroad tracks and to the river and stuff, she's like, there's bugs, it's hot. Like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And I love, like, I cherish that time that I get when I just like, throw my bag on my back, pick a camera, pick a film, just go for a walk, clear out my head. I mean, even if I don't take a photo, like it is just, just seeing and breathing and realizing, like, it's not the overthinking, obsessing thinking. It's just like and every time I do it, I'm like, man, I need to do this way more. Like, I need to do this twice a week, 3 times a week. And, I'm fortunate enough to work 3 blocks from home too. So I do like multiple laps a week of my downtown area. That's just like a long-term, photography thing that I've been working on. So it's just kind of walking and aloneness usually kind of goes hand in hand for me.
That's cool, because I think like when you are alone, and especially when you're walking, or not necessarily with a destination, but that activity, instead of sitting on your phone and being like a beacon, when you're out and about, you're more of like a conduit, right? So it's going into you and then back out, and it stays out. As opposed to, being in your room on your phone or whatever the deal is, it stays with you. And, it's like, what, Kevin, why does he get to go to Costa Rica again? So it's just kind of funny. And you're like, wow, I get to go walk around my downtown area. And that's way better than seeing Kevin go to Costa Rica. I don't know Kevin going to Costa Rica, by the way. I'm not like talking shit on anybody. So
no, I get it though, because I just saw, we had a coworker's boyfriend pass away just this past week, and literally the day after he had passed, the family started like Facebook posting about it, and it was just so weird to me, like that I would never do that. Like if I lost somebody like close and precious to me, like my first reaction wouldn't be go on Facebook and write something about it. Like I just, this world we live in where we're so connected to things like cell phones and computers and stuff. I mean, Chris knows how terrible I am at like returning texts and doing things with my phone. Cause like I really try, cause I was obsessed when I got my first iPhone, like I was like every other person that could not move my eyes away from it. And it damages a lot of things. It damages, relationships and friendships and yourself, like you're just kind of so constantly wanting to know what, Kevin's doing in Costa Rica. Oh man, he's snorkeling. Like I am so jealous of that. And we're not even living in like the right now, like, or even, I don't know. It really bums me out how disconnected we are by being so connected to our phones. Like it's the saddest thing in the world. And I think that's why, another reason why I kind of just like dump the digital photography world too, because it's so sterile. Just like I never use my iPhone to take photos other than pictures of the schedule for work, a recipe out of a book at Walmart or something, like I use it as a tool, like a utility kind of thing. And, and cat pictures to send my mom, but like I just try to stay away from that because it's just so weird. I don't know. It's so, and the more and more I kind of disconnect from that, I see how weird it is that we're just like, there are people that are just always commenting and liking. And it's just like, how do you have the time to do that? Like, and be a coherent, like a lover or a friend or or a good employee.
You're a terrible employee.
Shouldn't you be at work right now? Like, come on. But it just, my eyes kind of opened up a little wider this past week when that was starting to happen. I was just like, wow, I would have never thought to post about that on Facebook. Like that's just so bizarre to me.
It is weird, right? But, I think it's funny though, because like, let's say 30, 40 years ago, people like, your dad probably told you this, or I know my dad did, what we do in our home is no one's business, right?
Yeah.
But my dad loves Facebook, which is so it's super funny that like,
tables have turned.
Yeah. And now all the kids, right? So like my whole like non-data back theory is technology and attitudes are kind of like on a 30, 40 year pendulum, if you will. So like, kids were really into technology like in the 90s and now like the hipsters came out and maybe the graph is similar to Moore's law, right? So maybe the fluctuations get smaller and smaller into smaller vibrations. But I guess my point being is that it continually flip flops, right? So I know I wouldn't have got in to instant photography if I hadn't kind of been in that generation of kids like buying vinyl, even though they digitally compressed the vinyl, and that's stupid. So why are you buying it? But I did it, and it was really a waste of money. But that's not the point. Is that we really appreciated the tangibility, right? So, and I think what's funny about me, I'm not speaking for you guys, but is that I hated instant gratification, so I bought an instant film camera, which is super ironic. But you know I read, like I said, I read a lot, but there's this really sweet book called The Zen and Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That's not really about motorcycles. You either hate the book or you love the book, and your cat's in the background. He looks really pretty, by the way.
Yeah.
He says it's not the technology that's scary. It's what it does to the relations between people like callers and operators. That's really scary. And so I guess he was discussing how people used to discuss things in depth, and that when you had the ability to relay that information quickly, it became a professional or meaningless interaction. Like you would ask an operator for information and she would give it to you, and that was the end, instead of having a discussion.
Right. Wow.
Which is cool. And then I don't support this gentleman, but if you guys are familiar with Ted Kaczynski, he was the Unabomber.
Yeah.
But his book I read, it was called The Anti-Tech Revolution, Why and How, because it had anti-tech in the title. So I was like, well, let's check it out, right? So not saying he was ethical in any way, but he had some really interesting insights from a theory perspective. Doesn't talk about bombs or anything like that. He just talks about how as technology improves, the human experience will decline. That's the end. That's the bottom line. So, but I agree with that. I don't agree with anything else he really did. Besides living in the cabin alone, that sounds super cool. But besides that, anyways, it's just interesting. I recommend it.
I think one of the things I think that helps that, there's a lot of things you can do for yourself, like go for a walk without your phone, just take your camera and like maybe put music on. But there's a lot of like community things, like there's the meetups that, Beers and Camera has meetups, and I went to the Kodak Camera Club meetup, and nobody was on their phones that whole time. We were all just hanging out. We were taking photos of each other. We were talking about their gear and stuff like that. And I hope that I'm sure there's other community meetups, that people do. And I think like if we like remember that we need to go do those things and like not, I don't know how to explain it, like.
And not be selfish.
Yeah, just like take time for that, like because you will have, and I'm a little socially shy, so every time I know there's a meetup, I try to get somebody to go with me, and usually I end up having to go by myself. But as soon as I get there, I'm always like, I'll text Timothy like so stoked that I went. Like I talked to this person, like I wish you could have came. It was so fun. So I think like, as long as we make sure to have those moments, whatever they are, like go out to dinner with your friends. And, I'm always like, all right, like we went out last night and I was like, okay, phones away, guys. Like, let's just hang out. You know what I mean? Like we have to be, as a human, like race, remember that like we need these human interactions, It
feels good. And what's funny is when you said,
it does. It's so good.
You got a text that says like, I'm so happy you came. And that feels way better. Then I don't care how many Instagram likes you get. If it's one person that made that connection with you instead of 15,000 people that are liking you, so you'll follow them back, And I think for us, photography is that for us. So I think we're lucky in that way. But like I said, I'm sure there's a million communities on all these different things out there. But I feel very lucky that I found the photography community. Yeah. In general, I agree. For sake of that, I really wish I was able to attend the. I don't know what the name is called because it's on the back of my brain, but it's the annual instant film meetup they do in Texas at the fair.
Yeah, Policon.
Oh, obviously that's the name, right?
Yeah, we're trying to go this year, Timothy and I. So
yeah,
where are you guys?
On our radar.
You're in California, Chris?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles, and Timothy's in
Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I really want to go. So I think what's lame is that Texas is really big and it's really far.
It is.
But besides that, I think everything else is a super positive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all instant photography. I mean, that's just. We had Nate on. We talked all about it, and Timothy and I have talked nothing about like how much we want to go. It's like that's our like one goal for our show is to like do a show there in 2018. So hopefully we get a chance to go. But yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean that's an awesome.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about it because I have a friend that I've made through the film community. Like we make friends, and just talking with him, just being like, we need to road trip, that's just like take a week off and make the travel days, do like 4 days there or, 3 days there or something like that. Shoot, stop, see things. Cause I've never done that. I've never traveled the world. This is as far west as I've ever gone and as far south. So I've never really done the travel thing. So that's definitely like on the bucket list and, things of needing to do. Like I want to see America at least. If I'm not going to go overseas and do the Europe backpacking thing, I need to at least see what is in a driving radius of, of doable. But just, I feel like it could be awesome. And Chris, you too, you could like, get 3 or 4 of your film friends, or even if you don't
Chris,
even know
I'm in
them,
Fresno, man. Let's carpool.
Yeah, that's not far. You're like 3 hours away.
Carpool. That's how my buddy is. He lives in Kentucky. So is it Kentucky or Alabama? I don't know. It's one of those. And, it's like we're so close. And I've been talking to a couple people locally here about doing like a film meetup, a photo walk kind of film meetup thing. And, we're just trying to figure out when. Yeah, I want to do it in, I think, July. So I'm saying it and I'm putting it out here now.
We've talked about like doing like analog talk ones too. Whether we do separately here and you do one there, or like we do one when we go to Texas, like those need to be in the works.
That'd be cool. And do you guys have like a monthly, I know like in Fresno, we have something called Art Hop, right? Where the first Thursday of every month, venues, galleries, all that, right? And there's bands. And it'd be really cool if I challenge everybody, including me, because I haven't done it. I don't know why. But if you create like a film meetup on that day, it's already Art Central and there's already, so it's already set up for you. You just got to show up.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
get on that and do that. I always show locally here. I'm on a list that gets me put on to a new place every month in the summer.
Cool.
So that's a great idea. I need to do that.
And you can have everyone meet up at where you're showing, and then it's like a 2-for-1, right? So that's cool.
And I've done it so much, it's not like I need to like stand by my stuff. I can go and enjoy and do other stuff. Man, now I'm all hyped up. This always happens when we do this podcast.
So we have just like endless possibilities, It's like don't limit yourself.
Totally.
Especially with, putting out your zines or making a new magazine you're gonna sell. Like dream it and do it.
Yeah, it's like that Shia LaBeouf video, exactly like that. I love it. I mean,
do it now. What did you do? I forgot.
Don't let your dreams be dreams or whatever it is. That's so funny, man.
Oh man,
you could
I need to rewatch
you
that.
could probably make your own video of you doing that, and it'd probably get way more views.
I think I need to do that.
All right, guys, this is the part of the show where we take a question from one of our listeners, and this one comes from Robert Lanes. Once again, thank you for sending your questions, Robert. They're always so good, so we're going to use another one. He asks, what location in the world would you like to photograph that you haven't yet visited? For example, I would love to go to Cuba and shoot only slide film. Who wants to go first?
I'm going to go last. I'm going to put you on
Timothy.
the spot.
Oh, man. This is so tough because there's so many places I want to see just because I've never really gone outside of my bubble. But I think, this is tough. It's a tough one. Our lanes. I would have to say probably either like New York City and, I feel like I could get away with more
New York
on
City's
like
fun.
the street photography aspect of things, like really not have to worry about, because I live in such a small town, even though people do know me around here for shooting photos and stuff like that, I still get the evil eye. It's the evil eye as in like it's just him and I on the street. So, it's not like I can say, oh no, I was actually shooting the person behind you, but wait, there's nobody behind you. So I think like, I guess even like a city, like a bigger city, that Nashville's still kind of too small for that kind of stuff. You still get, it's very touristy and I don't know. I would say like New York City, or I always wanted to go and live in San Francisco. It was always like one of those spots, I loved Full House growing up. Whatever happened to predictability, the shot of the San Francisco Bridge or the Golden Gate Bridge. I've always wanted to do that. And I'm more of like a sunny and 70s kind of person anyway, but like I'm so anti moving to California because all my friends moved to California and it's like, I'm not going to do it too, So I don't know. I'm just so East Coast. I guess New York City. I was there for 30 minutes one time in my life and it was on a train layover. and I ran up and looked at the city and was not the person I am today. So I need to go back with the camera.
Yeah, I'm like already picturing the kind of shots you would get in New York.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I've only been to New Jersey. Does that count?
Sort of. You can see New York from New Jersey.
I was there in June, and it was like I was swimming in the air.
Oh, yeah, it's gross. The humidity is...
It's terrible. Yeah.
I'm from the East Coast like Timothy, and I'm going back for my, well, I won't say it's a surprise, but I'm going back soon, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. There's going to be thunderstorms. I'm like, oh, but the humidity is going to be so gross.
Yeah, northern East Coast humidity is the grossest thing in the world.
Yeah. Anyway. Good answer.
So, after talking about humidity, I totally changed my answer because I was originally going to say, man, I really want to go like on a motorcycle trip of Southeast Asia and maybe go through Vietnam and stuff like that. Because like the clouds hanging out right at eye level with the mountains, super cool, right? But I have like a hygiene thing. Even though I go like camping and backpacking a lot, I like to be clean. After like day 4 is when it's like, it's time.
Yeah.
So
it's tragic.
Yeah. So I think it'd be really interesting to hike the Pacific Crest Trail and take portraits along the way.
Yes.
I think on instant film, I think that'd be really cool because you can put someone's trail name in the border, like they're whatever that would be, right? Like we'll say it's Scooby-Doo for the sake of the example. And so you have Scooby-Doo and all these guys with trail names, but I think the coolest part was, or would be, you would find out exactly what everyone is out there trying to discover outside or inside, right? So you meet bankers, artists, hippies, conservatives, everyone's out there, all for the same reason, but all for completely different reasons. So I think that'd be my answer.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I've never been out of the country, so that's like on my like life goal is I want to go to London. So that's like the first obvious thing I would say just because I want to go there so bad.
Yeah.
But I also want to go to Italy because that's where my dad's family's from. And
Bartolucci.
Yeah. And it looks super gorgeous over there. So that's probably my real answer would have to be Italy, I think.
Yeah. What's your fake answer?
Well, I mean, my obvious answer would be like, I want
London.
to go London. I should say that, but no, it's definitely going to be Italy.
All right.
For me. See my heritage.
So would you shoot street, landscape? What would you shoot if you went there?
Probably like just the landscapes because they're gorgeous. All that sun over there. Well, that light. I need me some like hills of Italy sunsets.
The color palette is insane. I have a friend that's doing a wedding over there, and I just keep watching her Instagram stories, and it's like she's just like in heaven. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it looks like heaven. It looks like it's a little piece of heaven of what I would imagine it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Robert, great question. Thank you again for sending that in to us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for sending that in.
Okay, now we're on to our next part of our show. Michael, what's your favorite camera if you had to pick one? Like, what would it be and why?
So I've been having this dream of buying a Pentax 6.7.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, and nice.
And it's only because of what I've seen people capture on it. And
it's a beast.
And maybe there's this like weird correlation between certain types of aesthetic that I enjoy, photographers who create that happen to own that camera. So I may get the camera and be like, this is crap, right? Because, but I just have an affection for that. That's kind of recent. But I already own the camera that I truly, truly lust over, and that's any Polaroid camera.
Yes, I love that. So, I think you're the first one to say a Polaroid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the best.
Yep.
Just a regular, like the Sun 660 you have?
Yeah, the Sun 660, because my two things I like about it is I can shoot with the flash off by hitting the second button, and then it also has like the autofocus, which is similar to that weird sonar thing in the SX70 sonar. So it autofocuses, and
I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool.
It's really cool, but kind of weird too, because unlike the SX70, when you look through it and you're holding the button halfway down, you can see what it's focusing on. This is kind of a gamble. So I've kind of had to let go of that controlling nature of just that portion. But like I said earlier in the show, my horizons are very straight because of that box camera, unlike the curved lens of the SX70 type camera. So I have my dream camera, and everyone can go buy one at a garage sale. and you can have your dream camera too.
Yeah.
So
that's the best part.
Yeah.
It really is, because I always see, old Polaroid cameras sitting on the shelf at Goodwill and stuff like that. And, they're still $5, $10, sometimes $3, you know what I mean? And it, people are always hesitant to buy them because they don't think they work because the battery's in the film. Like if it probably 9 out of 10 times that camera's going to work. It just needs a fresh pack of film in it.
Amen.
Yeah, I need to start thrifting with a pack.
Yeah, that's I have one in an empty pack in my bag all the time.
I always forget to do that.
If anyone out there wants to try instant photography and you don't have a battery pack, email me and we'll get to that at the end of the show. I will mail you one. It doesn't cost you anything.
Awesome.
Just go test it out, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, that was great. Well, Michael, thanks for being on the show today. It was great actually talking about something that's not the same thing we're always talking about. So it was a lot of fun. Where can everybody find you? Where are you at on the intranet?
You can find me in two main places. The first is my personal website that has my instant film work. And that website is don'tshakeitLikeAPolaroid.com. Everyone, don't do it. It's a common misconception. It's my public PSA. I can't believe that domain was available when I bought it. Second, you can go to analogforevermagazine.com. Please sign up for our newsletter. I know it's a long time away, but the more people that we have sign up, the more eager we'll be to release some news. Last but not least, please go, if you don't already, follow Pryme Editions on Instagram, Facebook, and go to prymeeditions.com because it is not dead, and Silver's doing an amazing job.
Awesome.
Chris, where are you at?
Let's see. I am Crispy Photo on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Crispy Shoots Films, my film stuff on Instagram. We're Analog Talk Pod on Twitter. Analog Talk Podcast on Instagram. We have a Facebook group you can like and Facebook page you can like and a group you can join. And yeah.
Guys, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Timothy Makeups. I always say that I also make YouTube videos, but guys, it has been like 2 months since I've made a YouTube video. But if you want to catch up on my old catalog while I work on some new stuff, you can head over to youtube.com/Timothy Makeups Ditzler, or just go up to the search bar and search Timothy.makeups. And I also do a little one-person ranty-ish podcast called We Believe in Film. That is also on my YouTube channel and my SoundCloud. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks again for joining us, Michael. This is awesome.
Thanks so much.
I'm going to go get some instant gratification this week.
Do it.
I'm going to go shoot some Polaroids.
Cool.
Definitely.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Hey guys, first I want to thank Michael for being on the show. Man, it was great touching on topics that we don't, talk about every single episode. So thanks, Mike, for bringing a different spin to the podcast. Don't forget, guys, we have a Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/analogtalk. Every little bit helps. We have a bunch of little perks over there, anything from $1 to $25. $5 you get like stickers and pins. For $10, we're doing, Chris and I will help with photo tips. We're going to be giving prints. We're going to be doing group chats, all kinds of stuff. Thanks for all the Patreons out there already. And guys, we will see you next week with an all new episode. So take care, keep shooting. I'll see you soon.